What I really enjoy about this festival is that it is a time to get people together, converse, and talk about issues that a lot of times that people don't want to talk about, or we just haven't had the time to actually sit down and talk to each other.
You're with The Capitalist Sage, a twice-a-month podcast that seeks out entrepreneurs and experts that speak to the real-world life of doing business for their sage advice. Now, with your hosts, Karl Barham and Rico Figliolini.
Welcome to the Capitalist Sage podcast. We're here to bring you advice and tips from seasoned pros and experts to help you improve your business. I'm Karl Barham with Transworld Business Advisors, and my co-host is Rico Figliolini with Mighty Rockets Digital Marketing and the publisher of the Peachy Corner magazine. Hey, Rico, how you doing today?
Hey, Karl. Excellent. Thank you.
Good. Why don't we introduce our sponsor for today?
Sure. Atlanta Tech Park here in the city of Peachtree Corner is actually in Tech Park, Atlanta. Kind of funny the way that wraps that way. But this place, the Atlanta Tech Park, is a accelerator, different from an incubator, right? But it's a great place to think of WeWork and an incubator environment. So lots of tech companies here. This podcast studio that we're working out of, as well as events that they put on here. Like
events, big technology showcases, film festivals, all sorts of different activities.
They had the Asian Film Festival kickoff here, largest in the Southeast. They had the FinTech event that happened here. And lots more to come. So great place to network with entrepreneurs, people, and the local business community. And if you go outside, you can flash your phone and get a ride on Ollie, the driverless shuttle that takes you up and down Peachtree Parkway. So just a great place to stop by and visit, especially if you want to get into the entrepreneurial business community. Right. Curiosity lab of Peachtree Corners.
Absolutely.
Essentially.
Well, today we are excited to talk about film festivals, the business of film festivals and what that's like. And we're honored to have our guest today, Brennen Dicker, who is a board member of the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival, which is coming up in early January or mid.
Actually, start is February 10th.
February 10th.
Tickets go on sale January 27th.
And so we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to put on a film festival, how it helps the community, some of the business of that. But why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Brennen Dicker. My day job is the Executive Director of Creative Media Industries Institute for Georgia State University. And that's where I teach approximately 900 students media entrepreneurship and game design and 4-year programs there. And I've been very fortunate just to be a member of the film and television community here in Atlanta for the last 15 years. I started in film and television 30 years ago at 16 running as an intern, getting coffee for producers, and was fortunate enough to make a career out of that and spent some of my time in Chicago creating my own production company and doing a lot of work there in sports and commercial work as well as PBS documentaries, and then was fortunate enough to come down here to Atlanta and get tied into more of the post-production world of the business and production, and then all of what I was doing on various boards. I sat on the board of Savannah College of Art and Design, the advisory board for them, and chaired their advisory board, as well as Georgia Production Partnership, which does a lot of work, chaired with them. And then I got a call one day to join AJFF 10 years ago, and it was just a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful community to work with.
Oh, that's fabulous. I noticed, you've been along the ride as in Georgia, the film industry has exploded. How has that helped the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival, gain people, improve over the years?
Well, I think, from my perspective and with the film and television incentive that happened in 2008, that brought in a lot of people from Hollywood and New York and all around the country to come in. And so people are looking for things to do, and in the film community, a lot of people that are directors of photography, various crew members, it gives them an opportunity to actually go and see some of their friends' films, and be it at AJFF or one of the other film festivals in the state as well. But it's just a wonderful opportunity to bring those people into our community and show them, really fine works, and that we've got a great film festival here, and be it one of the largest Jewish film festivals in the world, also the largest film festival in Atlanta.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So why don't we tell people a little bit about the history of the film festival so people get a kind of context where it started and why?
Sure. This is 20 years in the making now. This is our 20th year. I can't imagine, when they started, it was a little less than, I think, 800 people that showed up to do a Jewish film festival for a couple days. It was nothing like it is now at 18 days the festival started.
Right.
That in itself was, as it grew through the years, it was a very slow growth process, but I will tell you that Kenny Blank is the executive director. Kenny had a goal of wanting to make AJFF one of the largest film festivals, not only in the state in Georgia, but also the largest Jewish film festival in the world. Mm-hmm. And he told me this 10 years ago, and I thought, this guy has a plan, and he had a plan with his committee. Steering committee to make it work, and so he moved in that direction, and we were able to a couple of years ago say that we were the largest Jewish film festival in the world. Now we compete with the San Francisco Jewish Film mm-hmm. Festival, and it's always seems to be going back and forth on numbers, but just to have that growth, that phenomenal growth, and also a community that backs it mm-hmm. is so important. And we were able to get the right people involved, and I think the right people have been involved from the beginning of creating a foundation for the festival and creating awareness about the festival, because really the AJFF is really a cinematic exploration of the Jewish experience, mm-hmm. and first and foremost, and I think that with a strong Jewish community that we have in Atlanta, that's one thing, but then what we've tried to do, especially in the last decade, is branch out into other communities, because it's all about storytelling. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a comedy, a drama, and people can associate with the films. And I think that's why it's been so successful, because I think we have 25% now that are non-Jewish that mm-hmm. come to the film festival. They see something there, and they see stories, and they see good storytelling and good films. And so there's so many people drawn into this film festival every year.
Absolutely. One of the things that I know has been a positive experience for me, I've enjoyed film festivals for years. I grew up in New York, and they had a lot of film festivals. But it's one of the great ways to explore other cultures and stories and see it in a creative way. Here in the Metro Atlanta area, I don't know if many people realize that they have this access to storytelling and art that's here. What would you say for folks that have never visited there? What would that experience be like when they come and visit the film festival?
Well, I think that it's one of, obviously a traditional film festival. We have the speakers that come. Mm-hmm. We usually have a producer or director tied to a lot of the films that are coming, or an actor or an actress. And so that in itself is great to have a Q&A when you mm-hmm. actually have a personal experience going on. But one of the things that we prided ourselves, especially in the last couple of years, is making it an experience at the theater. So you may have a film like we did last year called Judaism, which was a taste of Montreal, where we had a documentary on these two Jewish guys that went around mm-hmm. talking about various places to eat mm-hmm. in Montreal. And then after the screening, we all had bagels, we all had various foods that they were talking about, which was a fantastic way to tie it together. But you have to make, in many respects, now we don't do that with every film, mm-hmm. obviously, but there are many things that we try to tie in with the festival, be it music, food, culture, great speakers, just people that come in, because you have to really make this an experience for your audience now, because your audience has many choices mm-hmm. as to where they can get their entertainment. And so it's not like, let's say, in the 90s when indies were so big and festivals were so big, where you would go out because you couldn't see these films on Netflix right. or Hulu or Amazon, because there were no Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon. So you had an experience where you knew people were going to come out. But now you really have to really be savvy with your audience and make sure that you're targeting the right people for this and making it an experience.
How does bringing up Netflix, how does streaming work with that? Because, are all the films not online? Are some films online, but then they're at the festival also?
Yeah, it depends year to year. But, okay. Obviously we've had, I think, over 30 world premieres. I think that was it mm-hmm. as far as what we were looking at. And so with that, there's going to be some films that are already streaming. But right. for the most part, we're trying to get films that are, first run, or at least that year that it's their first run. But there are films out there that will stream mm-hmm. and people could go see them. obviously we'd like to have them come to the festival and have the
Right,
experience.
and adding that experience, like with the food or people talking, does make a lot of sense because you'd like to hear how the director got to that story.
Yeah, and that's one of the beauties of coming to the festival is after the film is done and to have a Q&A with the producer, the director, the actress that was a part of that. That's a huge deal for us.
And I think some people don't even understand that the Jewish Film Festival is that they might think Jewish, Israel. Films come from all over the world.
Yeah.
And all different languages.
Exactly,
even.
and it's amazing, all different themes. I mean, we have films that are from South America, from Africa, from Asia. It runs the gamut, and I think that what I pride myself in, specifically with the festival, is we've had such a good job of film selection over the last couple of years, and it gets stronger each year. That you're blown away by all of the films that are there. I mean, you're not just talking about 2 or 3 films out of 60 or 70 that are good. Mm-hmm. You're talking about all of them have been selected out of. I think we had 700 films last year that out of 70. So only 10% that were actually submitted. It was a ridiculous amount of films that actually get submitted, but that has really given us a quality that we just have never seen before.
Are there film fees that people have that are paid for the submission for entries, or no? It's not an entry like it's not. There's no awards at the end. Yeah. There's no fan awards or anything.
We're trying to get to that. I think that's one of the things we're trying to do. We do have an award as far as an audience award, and we have a jury prize award for that. So there is, as far as entry fees on the films themselves, I'll have to look into that to see what that is, if there is any.
Yeah, not
to
every
do
festival
that, but
does
it would be minimal at most if we were to do that. But it is something that we're now looking at. Getting a jury. We had a jury together last year and a student jury as well. So that in itself, again, and to see who the audience award winner is, we usually try to replay that film later on after the festival's done.
Anyway, what's great about film festivals, so new and young filmmakers have an opportunity to get their work shown by more than the traditional Hollywood machine that would dictate. So I could see young people that are interested in film, interested in entertainment, being a really big demographic to go after to get there. What are some of the things you do to outreach to younger folks and their families to get them to come to the festival?
We are AJFF. Obviously, we have the film festival, which is our brand there. But we're really trying to make a year-long, experience out of that. And one of the things that we offer is AJFF on campus. And specifically, we've been working with Emory University the last couple of years to premiere some films on campus at Emory. Now, again, we're going to branch out to other institutions or colleges and universities around the state to make that even more accessible. But we've found it very successful to get a younger generation of coming in to experience some of the lineup that we've had. So that's one of the areas, and we have a specific group within our steering committee that are really focused on the younger generation. The millennials, of getting them and getting them to come out specifically to either one or a couple of our films during the festival, but then have parties during the year that make it an annual all-around experience. Because one way that a film festival will survive is to create year-round programming, and that's something that we along with other festivals that are larger are seeing that you need to keep the brand out there and a presence out there. And so how you do that can be through the on-campus, what we were talking about. We have Cinebash, which is more of an art and music exploration in Jewish culture and history with that, where we're doing art and showing in that way, which is a phenomenal event that we're looking at continuing this year. And there's a number of other events through the year that we're looking at that just it's a touch point, so people see what we're doing throughout the year.
Oh, that's fabulous. So we got a couple of questions around kind of the process. So you mentioned selection committee. How does that work? What criteria do you use? Who are the people that select? How does that part work?
There's a committee on the steering committee that's a selection committee of 3 or 4 folks that get together, and they will then branch out. There's a whole group of people that have been doing this now for 20 years. Now, again, we're talking about hundreds of volunteers that come in to this space, and the ages and the age ranges, I know in the 30s to 70s, 80s of people that will take the time to actually watch these films.
Right.
So you have got a broad age range and broad diversity of people that will take the time to do it. It is a commitment.
Yeah.
They're watching films on the weekends, and they break it down to where it's manageable. But even I think my mother was a part of this, and she had to watch 20 or 30 films, I think, during this time, which she loves.
Yeah.
But I having the time to do that is a challenge. But we do have committed volunteers and a community that really is active in narrowing down, the films. But they have to be watched.
That's similar to the Atlanta Film Festival. They do the same thing. You could actually volunteer online to be part of that group that watches, but you have to commit to a certain amount of films.
You have to,
watch.
That's how it works. And fortunately, we've just had a lot of people that enjoy the experience, and also just getting a chance to see first run.
Can someone volunteer to it? Do you
Sure, yes. They can go to agff.org and volunteer, definitely.
And then criteria-wise,
that would be for
next year,
right, of course.
Correct,
yeah,
for next year. Criteria-wise, what are some of the things you look at for films that might help influence?
Well, obviously, it's films that are seen through a Jewish lens, and so there's an aspect of having that incorporated within the film is the most important, and it can be, weaved in the storyline, but obviously that's something that has to be a part of who we are. Aside from that, we take every kind of film. We had horror genre last year, which is one of the horror film there that was just it was great, but made in Israel. Obviously there are certain films that are coming to us with different themes, but it's a very wide range of films that we would look at selecting, and we have one from Georgia this year that was selected as well, a short. Our shorts, by the way, we've had a lot of really dynamic shorts from younger people as well, just people that are coming in. So the short film category, at least from last year, was fantastic, and I look forward to seeing what we have on docket for this year.
It may seem obvious, but describe the difference between a short and a feature film. For folks.
If you think of a short film, you're looking at probably no more than 20 minutes long, a shorter narrative or shorter documentary. Feature films, we always kind of look at, between, I would say, 75 to 90 minutes or over 75 minutes could be a length of a feature. There are exceptions to that rule, but I would say that really kind of tells the tale as far as what it is. It's all storytelling, but obviously feature films are a longer length.
So in a lot of film festivals, there's a lot of distributors come to find films to distribute, do that. How does that process work? How do they get involved in this?
Well, we have a number of relationships with distributors worldwide, and that's how we get the selection of films that we do. I think that in the future, with all of the films that are being shot here, the methodology, or we're hoping that we can see more distributors actually be here, coming to Atlanta to recognize some of the filmmakers that we have locally here. So it's not, we reach out to a lot of distributors worldwide, but I personally would love to have them come to the festival and find films that are being looked at as well.
This is less of like the Cannes Film Festival or the one in Denver.
Sundance.
You're not Sundance, rather.
Yeah.
So you're not going to find a film where someone's going to pay $2 million, or $10 million for it.
It's really, the audience is really for the Atlanta and Georgia community, the Atlanta community in general, and so that's kind of, our focus. When you think of Tribeca, when you think of Sundance or South by Southwest, there are a few, or even Toronto with TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival. Those specific festivals are really for the distribution side of things, and quite frankly, a lot of the first run films are trying to get in there so they can get distribution.
Right.
But it's really, that model has changed quite a bit, with Netflix, with Amazon, with just streaming services in general. So you don't have we're seeing a transformation as to how films are being distributed, and on various platforms that we don't even know exist yet. So it's indie film is going through a transition right now with distribution, and I think that they're not as reliant on Hollywood per se I mean, they are going to the Amazons, the Apples, and trying to see if they can get distribution deals separate from that. And I think that we're seeing that happen right now.
There's so many streaming services with Apple coming out. Then you have Amazon Prime, Netflix, and the smaller ones that do like horror movies only.
That's right.
And they're streaming that way.
And understand they're all looking for content. I mean, they're all trying to vie for those eyes, and so it's important for them to try to find that content anywhere they can. And if it's cheaper for them, in some respects, than actually producing their own content.
You know what's interesting? I went to Amazon Video at one point, and they don't just show other people's like major releases. You can be a producer of your own small little indie film if you want.
Yeah.
A high school kid even, and you can actually put it up, and people will pay. There's a process to be able to pay for that viewing of that video and stuff.
We see that with Georgia State students and students that are going on YouTube creating their own content, and if they're getting so many eyes, then eventually YouTube will pay them for that. Now again, that you have to be in the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of views. Yeah. But these are the models that we're seeing coming out of this, and it's quite a disruptor.
Mm-hmm. What is the impact on the community that you've seen the film festival have?
You know, I have seen in the last 10 years, obviously, you come together with the Jewish community, and it's so well supported, like I said before. But what I've also seen is conversations with other groups and organizations. Be it we've had specific talks with the Muslim community that have come out and shared in films that we've done, and we also have. Hispanic community has been strong as well. So there's all these. What I really enjoy about this festival is that it is a time to get people together and converse and talk about issues that a lot of times that people don't want to talk about, or we just haven't had the time to actually sit down and talk to each other. Yeah. And there's you find so many more similarities through a cinematic experience, that I think or you learn something new about an individual or a particular community.
Do you get a sense of the economic impact? And so, some of the theaters. Can you tell us a little bit about the theaters in the areas that host this and how they impact that business community?
Yeah, it's well, obviously we have over close to 40,000 that come to see the festival in an 18-day period. So that alone, as far as the economic impact of them coming out to the theaters, we currently in 2020 we have 5 different theaters that we're going to be showing, and we try to be strategic as possible with that, having so many theaters inside the perimeter and outside the perimeter. We are currently this year we'll have Landmark Midtown, which is a great spot for us. The Plaza Theater, another wonderful theater to have in the lineup. Perimeter Point outside, and then Tara Cinema, which has been a stable for us for years as far as showing, and Sandy Springs Performing Arts Center, who came on last year, and that's been a great home for us for the larger films that we want to bring in, because you can bring in so many hundreds of people in that venue, and it's a beautiful venue to be at. So we're excited about all of those theaters. We do our opening February 10th at the Cobb Performing Arts Center, and that's always a huge draw. I'd say I think we had over 2,000 last year. It was between, I think, 1,500 to 2,000 alone just for the opening night, which is very exciting, and it really kicks off everything. And then we close on the 27th at the Sandy Springs Performing Arts Center.
I got my 2 tickets, so I'm hoping to be there that night.
You should. That, to me, I think the opening is always the most exciting time for me because of all the people that are there, the energy that's there. And if there's an opportunity for you to come to we have a gala or something beforehand where there's a tasting of different restaurants, and they bring in chefs from not only here in Atlanta but also from Israel that come in, and it's
I'm looking forward to that.
I
got that pass.
Yeah, there you go, exactly.
Do you do sponsor if local businesses wanted to get involved in some way? Are there a way for them to do that?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, and now being off the steering committee, I would say that the best thing is to go to ajff.org and look into who the point of contact. But we certainly have a number of contacts that you can reach out to there on the development side and on the sponsorship and development side, but also just inquiring about AJFF and what we're all about, as to seeing more of the history and also seeing the lineup. I know we have 6 films that are lined up right now that just came out, but clearly we'll have a number of more coming out in the next couple of weeks, and it would give people a better idea as to where to go. So point them to that website.
Well, one of the things that Film Fester allows for people to continue to learn and come outside and get out of home. When you see this trend around Netflix and staying at home on one end, and you have blockbusters like Avengers and Marvel. I've noticed this trend of these movies that used to come out that would get these followings, but they don't seem to have a space. I don't remember years ago, a movie like The Fugitive. Would that do what it did back then? When that came out with Harrison Ford, it was a big movie, no special effects per se. Movies like that were just a story that was told. But now you see a lot of the big blockbuster, and in between, I don't know that you can name 5 or 6 movies.
It's like Frozen 2 is the biggest blockbuster
Which I'll
movie.
be seeing next week. Yes.
Right. So you have
I have
young
two daughters
girls
that will want to go see that. So yes, of course.
So, yes, and my daughter, who's 22, wanted to go see it also.
Yeah, no,
so
exactly,
it doesn't matter the age
Yeah.
range. But it seems to me that every time the film industry talks about how they talk about no one's coming to the theaters, and I look at it and say, there's no movies to come to the theaters to see.
That's right. And the challenge with that, and the challenge that the theater industry has with that, is because they rely on those blockbusters now entirely. But what's happened and what's changed is that you have the Netflix, you have the Amazon, you have HBO, you have these various networks and streaming platforms that are putting billions of dollars into content, and they're doing a great job of telling stories. And so really, if you go back to The Sopranos as one of the first series that really started looking at creating a series that would be feature-like in each episode. And now, think about all of the shows that we can stream that have that type of caliber of talent and storytelling ability. There are so many. I mean, I'm always being inundated to see certain things, or when I was working in the industry, to watch certain shows that I was associated with all the time. But there's so many out there. So yes, there is a challenge with that as to how do you draw people in when they can see those particular shows in their theater at home.
Yeah. So what do seeing films live in theaters with a community of folks, what does that really offer people that's different? So
you have to educate people to that. And what I mean by that, I think from my age, which I'll date myself now, but someone that's in their mid-40s to mid-50s and up, we went to the theater. That's where you would go to see the latest movie. There's a community there. And I think that our demographic is fine. We get it. And we're the ones that are actually going out and participating, not only going to the theater on a regular basis, but also just going to film festivals, going to AJFF. That's a crowd that we know that we've got them there to come out to see that. But with millennials, with the younger generation, again, the choices, and I see this with my daughters, they're on an iPad and they don't need to watch a movie on a large screen.
Right.
Now, the experience of seeing Frozen 2, they want to see that at the theater. So there are exceptions to that rule, but I think that you have to emphasize, you have to show that there's an experience with that, to get people out and to have the shared community, as I think all of us that have been to festivals see the benefit of that. Because at home, they're not going to be able to ask a question to the producer or director or get a backstory, and they may not be able to experience all there is with seeing friends and just getting to meet new people. But it has to be something where it's community driven, and it's something that that makes sense for them to get out and to go to a theater.
Yeah, especially making it into an event where people would get excited going out to see. And even when you used to go to a movie before you knew if it was good or bad, before you knew how many tomatoes.
Before Rotten Tomatoes to see what it got.
You'd go and you'd roll the dice,
Yeah.
and you'd be surprised when it was better. And sometimes you're like, wish I had that 2 hours back.
That's right.
But wasn't that a great experience?
Yeah.
You're out with your family and your friends. I remember leaving the Avenger, it was the first one. I think it was the first one where half the world disappears. Was that the first or second
first one?
movie?
Infinity War.
First one, yeah.
And we're walking at the theater, and it's like thinning their herd. They did, right? And it was a lottery. It wasn't like we're just going to choose people to thin the herd out. And my kids I'm listening to them talking. And one of them says, "That's not a bad idea. Maybe the resources of the world will be saved." So you get into those conversations.
You get in those conversations after after the movie, and it's something that's it's great. It's great thought. It's a great opportunity just to talk to your family, to have that. And we still do that with our kids going out. But again, it's also a question of, resources and going, okay, staying home at night, you're working all week. The last thing you think about doing is going to the theater. But again, if you can create an experience with it, one that's positive and one that makes sense and can lead to these discussions, then it's something that we're trying to do at AJFF is get them out there.
There would be a time when you'd go and see a Woody Allen movie, and it would lead to a series of conversation at dinner afterwards,
Definitely.
and it would extend the evening beyond.
Yeah.
And so people went to the movies to make them think more, and to have that conversation where you could still watch it at home on a streaming service, sure, but do you have that same conversation with yourself after you watched it on your iPad? And that might be why film festivals like the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival is really needed.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's one that, and I think that as long as you can, and again, we kind of own that space in February, so people know it's coming. I mean, it's now we have 20-year history. It's a time where you can then, generate we have phenomenal sponsors of the festival that have been with us for years, but they see that and they see the 40,000 people that are coming to it, and we're it's just remarkable to see all the various groups of people and community that it affects during that time.
Well, I'd love for you to remind us on how can folks get some more information about the festival and some of the key dates.
Of course. And I would say that, again, the festival starts February 10th. It runs 18 days, and ends February 27th or 28th, I believe, February 27th of 2020. We will start selling tickets to the public January 27th online at ajff.org, O-R-G. We just hope to have, we're looking forward to having another great year, and especially being the 20th, that's such a marquee year to have. So I know that we're going to have a lot of various parties going on during the festival, and it'd be quite a celebration for us.
I love that that's around Valentine's Day, so it sounds
that's
like
right.
a really great night out. With your significant other.
And I'm sure we'll program, a Valentine's Day, movie to go with that. I'm sure that we'll be thinking about that.
That'll be fabulous.
Yeah.
And for the business owners out there, there's sponsorship opportunities. If you go on there, look, volunteering opportunities as
That's
well.
right.
And if you really love films, for next year's cycle, you could be a volunteer at watching some of the film.
Love to have you.
So we'd like to thank our guest, Brennen Dicker, the chair of the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival, one of the board members of the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival, for his time and just telling us a little bit about the film industry and what some of the great things that are going here in the local Atlanta community, and all the different ways that people could explore different culture and connect. And if you want to give yourself a treat or probably even a great Christmas gift for somebody, inviting them out to a movie where they could explore something different might be a wonderful gift that gives them an experience more than just something that they can enjoy at home by themselves.
No doubt, and I do that every year with friends and family and new people that I meet, just to get them out to show them what we're doing with AJFF, and it runs the gamut as far as the community and the family that I have and friends that participate, and they all come away with something positive from it.
Oh, fabulous. Well, I'd like to thank Atlanta Tech Park for hosting our Capitalist Sage podcast. If you looking to start a business or just want to network with like-minded folks that are being entrepreneurial. As you see here, we talk film, we talk technology, we talk business, we talk finance. We bring all these different aspects of the community together and just create an environment that supports entrepreneurs, business owners here. So Atlanta Tech Park in Peachtree Corners is we're just grateful to have this room and space to be able to do this. I'm Karl Barham with Transworld Business Advisor of Atlanta Peachtree. Our business advisors are available to consult business owners on how they can grow their business when they're ready to exit their business, or if they're looking to start a new venture or get into a business. We have a team of folks that are dedicated to support that business community here in the local area. And Rico, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you've got coming up?
Sure. Quite a few things. I think we're working on the next issue of Peachtree Corners Magazine. That'll be out in February, March, the end of January, but it's the February, March issue. It's about technology companies, so that I believe is the cover story on that one. We're also a sponsor of the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival, which is exciting. That's how I got the passes, so that's cool. Can't wait to see them. I know there's at least 6 movies I probably want to see without even knowing. Yeah, well, no, without even knowing which ones they are. I mean, last year there was a dozen I'd like to. So some good stuff there. We're, if you go to livinginpeachtreecorners.com, we just did our 20 under 20 in the city, and it's gone really well. I mean, we had a photo shoot here in Atlanta Tech Park that we shared with everyone. We did mini interviews with the kids. 20 kids that have lots going on. That are under 20.
That was fabulous. Great.
So we've got a lot of play on that. So and the kids are wonderful. It was tough to pick those 20. Almost as tough when you pick those movies, right? We had more submissions, and just to pick 20 of them was kind of tough. But so we have that going. And of course, if you're looking to do product videos and stuff, I had a chance to do a stop motion animation for a product video.
Those are fun.
Yeah, the first time I did it, though. So it was kind of interesting. When we were able to pull it off, it was cool. So check out mightyrockets.com. That's my website for that type of work. And I used to be a film production major. That's why when I was in college and in Brooklyn College. So that's why I love this festival marries food and film. So my locks and my Jewish food and everything else. I was up in New Jersey, and we had great bagels up there.
Oh, you do.
Definitely
do.
Yeah, I miss that.
Absolutely.
That's what we have going on, but I'm sure I missed something in there. But.
Oh, no. Yeah, you did a great job. So stay tuned. We're coming to the end of the year, and we'll continue to bring you great episodes, talking to folks in the community about businesses, about our organizations that are doing great things like the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival. And so we look forward to continuing to give you great episodes. Thank you, everyone.
And I want to thank both of you for your time. It's great.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much as well for being a guest today. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
This has been The Capitalist Sage with Karl Barham and Rico Figliolini, the twice-a-month podcast with entrepreneurs and business experts. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Want more? Visit our website at capitalistsagepodcast.com.